Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty much done and over with. Ladies and gentlemen, I was kind of hoping throughout the course of this week that there would actually be some changes. I was hoping that Sony would kind of wake up and be like, "Ah, guys, we're not going to take away your games from you. We're going to give you options. We're going to let you purchase your actual." No, nothing changed actually. To be real with you, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty much done and dusted. And one of the reasons for that is obviously, for anybody that hasn't been following this, Sony, in their infinite wisdom, has committed effectively brand seppuku, where, for years, you were purchasing your PlayStation games on the old discs, and now, after 2028, you will not be able to buy discs anymore. Now, I'm somebody that loves gaming media, right? I love purchasing my fucking video games. In fact, most of the games that I play are actually disc purchases that I make. So, before we go into this, I want to just start off with establishing a level of facts. I have been kind of like seeing the stupidest takes imaginable for the last few days. Now, why are discs super duper important, right? Well, if you go back to the year 2011, Sony actually had a huge PlayStation network hack, right? For a long time, people couldn't even access their PlayStation network accounts. And I don't even think they could even download their games on the old PlayStation 3. Now, in 2026, we are talking about them getting rid of discs. Now, why are discs important? When you purchase a PlayStation game, and you see how I got a PlayStation 5 game over here? Because I'm not going to sit here and listen to some fucking like troglodyte tell me, Magmuna, the game isn't on the CD. What, are you stupid? So I'm going to make sure it's visually known to the fucking window licker in the audience that as long as a disc doesn't say internet required on the front and the back, what's inside this fucking case is the actual game. See, you can disconnect a PlayStation 5 from the internet, get rid of all of your network settings so it can't talk to Sony servers. Then you put the Blu-ray into the console, and you can see that there's a progress bar that starts. That progress bar is downloading the game from the fucking disc to the console's hard drive. Now, do you understand how that works, right? A file transfer means it goes from one storage medium to the other. It doesn't touch the internet servers. It doesn't download anything. But Milda, what about the day one patch? Without that, the game isn't playable. It actually starts and you can get to the very end of the game without needing the fucking day one patch. Here's another great example, by the way, okay? Here's Cyberpunk 2077. Right now, this game sold 40 million copies. It's basically what, like a top 20 selling game of all time? This is the original PlayStation 4 like disc copy of it, okay? You see these discs? This contains the original fucking fecal matter that CD Projekt Red shipped day one. Now, you can disconnect yourself from the internet. You can put these fucking discs into a PlayStation 5. You can install it all the way from disc 1 to 2. And you can launch, by the way, one of the most broken fucking experiences. The fact that CD Projekt Red advertised the PlayStation footage to look like this, when in all reality, this is one of the most broken fucking releases, is insane. But you can play this all the way from start to end. I actually like this copy of the game. You know why? Because what I play right now on the actual PC with mods and everything, and I do love this game quite a fair bit, but you can see from the beginning in sterling shit quality what it started with, right? This is a archive of what CD Projekt Red was actually selling to us for 60 bucks. But even in this broken manner, you can play Cyberpunk 2077 all the way from the start button to the fucking final endings of the game. Will it crash 40 times? Abso-fucking-lutely. Are there going to be game-breaking bugs that you may find? Sure. But it's actually 100% playable from the beginning all the way to the end. So you got multiple ranges of fucking games that support it over here. So really, why is this not going to change? Why is Sony kind of committed to it? So anyways, I was looking a little bit further into it, and one of the largest disc plants that Sony has is already reassigning staff. So this plant in Austria, which is basically one of the largest plants that they have, churning out 600,000 discs per day, has already been given the order and the investment money to shift its production from discs all the way to, micro lens optical technology. So you might be like, well, what the fuck is optical micro lenses? Well, if you've been following anything related to the artificial intelligence industry or the data center industry, they're going to be quite the buyers for this. Now, am I saying AI killed physical discs? No. But you can see that for Sony, it's kind of important that they move their money making strategy, I guess, from discs all the way over here. And I guess that kind of makes sense, right? Sony's data has been showing that they've been selling more digital crap than physical crap. And here's the reality of it. It's not a perfect, like Sony is not 100% truthful, obviously. They've definitely skewed the data to make it look like people buy digital shit more. But regardless of what your belief is, people do get lazy and purchase digital content, right? It is what it is. I'm not somebody that doesn't purchase digital games myself either. I do. But ultimately, if I can buy a physical copy, like my viewpoint is if I'm spending 60 bucks on a game, I'd rather own the Gold Master physical copy that contains a build of the game that I can access without the internet, right? But if I don't have that option anymore, I'm not really looking to buy games from Sony anyways. I'll just buy them from Steam or GOG preferably, since they give digital DRM free copies, right? Meaning that you don't even need the internet to touch those games. You can make your own fucking physical media, as I said in the videos before. Now, what I find really interesting about this whole fucking story is a lot of people have been making these petitions and everything. I don't know if a change.org petition is going to convince Sony to backtrack on this stupid decision. They basically have already said, and even if they do go back, do you trust them not to try this shit again in 2030? At this point, I'm glad Sony came out and basically said that they don't give a fuck about gamers' ownership of any product, which means that, you know, for me, being a lifelong PlayStation gamer, I guess I just don't really give a fuck about whatever they drop with the PlayStation 6, because at the end of the day, a lot of these gaming consoles, whether you go Xbox, whether you go Nintendo, whether you go PlayStation, whether you go PC, most of the popular games out there are basically multi-platforms, right? Now, I personally, when it comes to games coming out, I care mostly for the new Cyberpunk. I care for GTA 6, which eventually will just be showing up on the PC anyways, because why would Rockstar not release a PC version of a Grand Theft Auto game mainline when they've historically always done it? And of course, obviously, there is Final Fantasy VII Revelations, which is also day one coming to Steam anyway. So if I can't get the game physically, like I can Rebirth here, why the fuck would I waste my time on a closed platform when my computer is already stronger anyways? So looking at Sony's own stats, right, like the games that people play, I think this is a pretty terrible decision, because for Sony, a company that's not willing to subsidize the next PlayStation, from what I hear, which means that you're going to be paying like $1,000 fucking dollars maybe for the new PlayStation. So again, imagine in this economy just going up to gamers and be like, hey, you want to spend $1,000 fucking bucks on a game console? When again, it's a better opportunity for you to purchase a shitty PC even, because at least there you can get your foot in the door on an open platform anyways, right? Just going back to Cyberpunk 2077, you know, I played this game for hundreds upon hundreds of hours across multiple platforms, but I'm on my like 900 playthrough on PC. And the best part about this is that this is like the only time in like a long time that I actually fired up a modding tool to install hundreds of modifications to add extra life into Night City. What's kind of insane about this too is that it's probably one of those games where if you really wanted to like fucking blow your experience up, there are mod packs, and I've played with these ones. They crash a lot, but you can download 81 gigabytes of mods to basically turn Cyberpunk into a fucking night simulator, okay? It's that crazy, like a life simulator, a Night City life simulator, if you will, too. Not something that I'm able to do on a console unless, you know, a very specific game fucking allows it. So when I look at the games that are being played on PlayStation, you know, you look at the top list, it's like number one is Roblox, which can be played on a fucking iPhone at this point. You've got Fortnite, which can also be played on an iPhone. You've got EA Sports FC26, which is also on every other gaming system anyways. Grand Theft Auto 5, also on every other gaming system. Minecraft, on basically everything. Rocket League, on everything. Overwatch 2, on everything. Marvel Rivals, on everything. Rainbow Six Siege, also on everything. Destiny 2, also on everything. You know, it's crazy. In order to see an exclusive PlayStation game, you have to go all the way down to number 18 to see Gran Turismo 7. Bro, their games, their exclusive titles do not crack into the top 15 on their own system, okay? Basically, the PlayStation at this point is effectively a gaming console for one of the most casual ball and gun gamer you can find, right? And I think that's really the market that kind of looks at all this physical stuff and thinks, well, why does it matter, right? Like, just buy it digitally, grandpa. At the end of the day, look, digital games are a great avenue for you to have ownership or at least extra competition, right? So again, one of the sterling funny things that I've seen about this is if you go to PlayStation's own website, the disk drive for PlayStation 5 has been sold for quite a long time. Now again, they've said due to high demand, there's a limit of one per order. Now for context, this has been on this page for quite a long time, so this is not something that got added. What did get added was important notice from January 2028, newly released games are only available in digital only, right? So it's funny how they're talking about digital being the future, but on the same page, by the way, the disk drive has a fucking high demand, right? They're not saying there's a low supply. It's a high demand. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Sony is making probably one of the stupidest fucking decisions that I could imagine because, like, even if 20% of people are buying games physically, bro, you still want to just cut 20% of that market out. And here's the thing, when you get rid of all the physical media, right? People are like, well, we have sales on PlayStation. You do, right? But the reality of it is when you have no competition to purchase video games, that 20 that like price tag for a video game goes through the fucking like roof. It stays pegged at the $80, right? I even showed you in the last video, it's like, listen, when you're purchasing a game on PlayStation, usually you can find a copy of the digital like or the disc version somewhere cheaper on Amazon or any other store, right? Secondhand, you might be able to find a whole stack of PlayStation games on like Facebook Marketplace for like a really good price. When you lose the ability to have that competition, other storefronts, then you basically don't have a reason to offer sales. Your games can stay pegged at $80. Grand Theft Auto 6 is like the first big game that's like basically digital everywhere, right? No discs, none of that bullshit. Do you think that the prices, the savings they could have had by not making a physical copy were passed? No, the fucking game is $80. It's 80 fucking dollars. In fact, what's insane about GTA 6 alone is I don't know if this is entirely true, but the people that have invested in Take-Two are actually mad that the game isn't pegged at $100. Because for them, the shareholders just want this shit to be as expensive as they can because they want to make money off of gamers getting fucked in the ass, okay? That's just the unfortunate, grim reality. Do you honestly think Rockstar Games would ever have a reason to offer the game for sale as much as they do currently if your only option to get the game is through their purchases and there's literally no other service out there that's selling a disc copy, you know, on sale or something, or there's like a third market that exists to help lower that price, to help compete against what's officially available? When that gets removed, there's no reason to see as many sales as you do. You know why Steam gives you a million fucking sales? Because I'm pretty sure when you offer games for sale here, a lot of like times games will make a lot more money when they sell for a little less. But Steam is not the only platform for PC. And I know the whole cope that everyone throws at me, most gamers purchase their games through Steam. And again, you can believe that, but there's a lot of people out there that will fire up Epic Games Launcher because maybe there's an exclusive there. Maybe there's a free game that, you know, costs money on Steam that they're getting for free on Epic. Or maybe there's like a sale there, right? I personally don't use Epic or the other store launchers because A, they don't work natively under Linux, and second of all, those other launchers don't necessarily have the same features that Steam does. Steam is successful because it provides a good quality service, right? GOG is better than Steam because GOG gives you the digital shit basically for your own ownership, right? If I could buy every new game on GOG instead of Steam, I probably would, because then I could just own my fucking games entirely. Steam isn't a perfect solution. It's just the best out of the digital storefronts in most cases. But when it comes to consoles, right, like PlayStation or Xbox, you only have the one choice now. And the one choice, I guarantee you boys, is going to cost you an arm and a leg, and it's barely going to be financially viable. So the console itself is going to be more expensive going into the future, and the fact that you only have one storefront and it could be limited down the road is the I have never seen a company fucking blow its brains out this fucking hard. You know, obviously a lot of people are looking at the actual like terms of service even, and there's some misinformation too. Like for instance, in the UK, people have dug up, and this is like a Gemini overview, but it's like basically in some sections they talk about inactivity. So if you don't use your PlayStation account for like 36 months, Sony can close that account. The reality of it is that this is from like the EU where they have like GDPR data retention shit, but for like America, Canada, any other country that doesn't have the GDPR, they don't necessarily do this kind of shit entirely anyways. But I guess it's kind of a good point here, right? Like maybe if you forget about the fact that you have a digital account and like 5, 6 years down the road, you want to play a fucking video game, maybe you might lose access to the license for that game. That could be a reality. There have also been people that have brought up pretty decent like concerns where even if you have a disc copy of the game, going into the future, nothing stops PlayStation from adding in an update that may blacklist certain, games from launching even if you have them physically, right? Like I've heard this argument. I don't think Sony's going to do that because holy fuck, could you imagine the lawsuits that come out of that shit? But imagine if a publisher, right? Like imagine if CD Projekt Red, not that they would do that, would be like, hey, can you prevent everybody from launching version 1.0 of Cyberpunk so nobody can see how dog shit this game was when we initially tried to sell it to you? That would obviously be pretty fucking problematic, and I would keep my PlayStation offline, no more updates at all. But if you do that, then you forego playing any newer game on that device. See, this is the problem with closed platforms, okay? When you take away the whole point of the disc, which was, by the way, the only thing that I believe was advantageous to these consoles, they basically become locked down pieces of hardware that you're basically buying, and anything you buy on them is effectively on borrowed time. It's not that PC as a platform is magically greater. It's just that it's an open platform. And same goes for like Macintosh or whatever the fuck, right? Anything personal computer is open. It's been open since the beginning, and nothing is going to change about that, bar for some crazy shit in the future where things might get pushed on. Currently, as of right now, if you're talking about ownership and what belongs to you, it's the PC. I guess it's just like, I guess we're at this point, man, where it's like, I, I don't want to sound like super dejected. I love video gaming, but I just think like this news has been such a kick in the balls that for like honestly, like the backlash has been insane. And Sony obviously clearly didn't expect it to be this insane. But I don't think the backlash alone is enough for Sony to walk any of this back. I think they're set in their ways. And we're at this point where every other publisher and every other gaming company out there is kind of okay with this. Xbox was doing it anyways. Nintendo already, kind of has the game key card stuff, even though ironically now the game key card is a lot better than what Sony is doing, right? Like at least the game key card, you own a physical license of the game. With Sony, you really don't have anything at all, right? Like you're completely eliminated from that ownership bracket. And I guess going into the future, every single one of these consoles is going to be locked down. So unless you're a huge fan of the Sony movie slop games that like, you finish in 20 hours and there's really no reason to re-experience them again. Like, I finished Spider-Man 2. I can't tell you why I would even go back to play that movie again in New Game Plus. Like it really doesn't matter to me. It's not like, you're looking at something like a Legend of Zelda, or you're looking at something like a Metroid where the gameplay is kind of the hook, not so much the movie that you're forced to kind of like sit through for 20 hours. I guess that's kind of where I'm at, man. It's fucked up. It's a sad state of affairs. But I think this is the future. And if it was going to be backtracked, it would have been backtracked already. The fact that it isn't just kind of seals the deal for it, man. It's the end of an era, the end of your ownership. And unfortunately, I think if people want to go forward with actually owning their stuff, hey, I'm not so fucking dejected. I have tons of games that I haven't even played that are on my backlog that I couldn't even finish in my natural remaining lifespan. And that doesn't even include the games that I can emulate on PC anyways, right? So, yeah, am I a fucking gamer? Abso-fucking-lutely. I'm some ordinary gamer, okay? But I guess I'm not a gamer that's in this PlayStation 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 era. I think the fact that I can't even own those games, unless they drop on PC, there's, I don't know, the excitement is kind of gone. Even GTA 6, dude, it's crazy that because of all this code in a box shit, that excitement that I had for November, it's been such a kick in the balls that it's like, fuck, dude, the whole week I was kind of hoping that like by Thursday or Friday, Sony would be like, yeah, we're still making discs and we're sorry. I would hope Rockstar would be like, oh yeah, we're on for discs. Fuck this code in a box crap. Here's the actual like 3-disc physical edition for the PlayStation 5. But we didn't get that reality, okay? The reality is these companies, discs are gone, okay? It's over. Games are going to get more expensive, and there's nothing that exists to peg those things down. So at this point, if you're going to go into the future, logically speaking, there's no reason for you not to be on a fucking PC at this point, right? Unless for some reason Sony is so like unless you connect video gaming to Sony PlayStation so hard that you're okay with this shit going into the future. But I don't think that's a reality for most people. But yeah, anyways, fuck this, man. I'm out.